Hi everyone, I'm your host Donna, and this is Modern Mongolia podcast. Here I talk about how people experience life in Mongolia and the contemporary lifestyle and culture of Mongolians. On every episode, I will be sharing fun facts about Mongolia, and at the end of the podcast, I will spare some minutes for musical pieces from Mongolian artists. So let's get started. Hello. Okay, for this episode's fun fact, I'm answering the question I received from a listener on Spotify. The question was, what are the things that Mongolians do that travelers might find strange? So there are some. Okay, just to mention one. So there is a tradition that we farewell someone who is going far away. We offer a milk towards the direction where the person is heading or taking off. So we kind of sprinkle a little bit of milk with the teaspoon or something like that. So this symbolizes to clear the traveler's path from any obstacle, bad luck, and thus the person reaches the destination safe and sound. So there are people outside of the airport doing milk offering towards the plane that is taking off, wishing a safe trip to their family member, children, or loved ones as a farewell. So they bring a little bit of milk in a container along with a teaspoon, etc. To elaborate the meaning of this, it can be viewed as an offering for Mother Nature, asking for protection. And this is a very common practice in Mongolia. People sprinkling milk when they hike. It's so that they are offering and praying for the mountain spirit. It's related to our animistic belief and higher forces of Mother Nature. Recently on Twitter, people were divided on this matter. Some argued that this is a dated custom that is staining the outside area of the airport. And the others were like, no, this is our unique culture and ritual. Hence, the airport should actually build a specific spot or area where people can have a view of airplanes taking off and perform this ritual. For me, I'm on the side of promoting our cultural practice. And this is our cultural identity that we should harness and advocate for, because this is what makes us us. And this is just one example. There are more. Some are interesting, some are annoying, some are gross. I'll share about them in each episode one by one, or maybe I'll make a whole episode about these things that foreign people may find strange that we do. So I'll think about it. Okie dokie. So now let's talk about the annoying questions that I get asked as a Mongolian. So these are the questions that I get asked from my personal experience. First, do you speak Chinese? And the answer is no, I don't speak Chinese. I mean, we don't in general. Mongolia is a separate independent country. However, there is a part of Mongolia in China which is called Inner Mongolia, and Inner Mongolians do speak Chinese. So to give a short background on this, Inner Mongolia, and you may say Outer Mongolia, once was a one nation before Manchu rule. Mongolia was under a rule of Manchu Empire for around 300 years and declared the independence from Manchu rule in 1911. But China was not eager to acknowledge Mongolian independence and politically paved the way to make Inner Mongolia a part of China. Currently, Inner Mongolia has been autonomous region of China since 1945, and there are around 4 million ethnic Mongolians are living in Inner Mongolia. So, well, after the explanation, I understand why some people assume we speak Chinese, but please don't assume that all Mongolians speak Chinese. And the second question is, do you speak Russian? And the answer is, again, no, I don't speak, but my parents do. So it's kind of a generational thing. Okay, again, quick explanation. After the 1911 revolution, finally Mongolia became independent republic country in 1921 and became a part of Soviet Union. And many people got educated in Russia and they learned Russian. But our generation, millennials and Gen Z, don't necessarily speak Russian, including me. But there are a lot of Russian words in Mongolian language. So nowadays, maybe young Mongolians speak Korean rather than Russian. Okay, the third question is, oh, you're Mongolian, you must be good at riding horse. And the answer is no, not really. I would love to actually. I love riding horse, but I'm really not good at it. Actually, I have a bit of fear that I need to work on when it comes to riding horse. So not everyone is good at riding horse. For me, I used to spend every summer in the countryside for 2 or 3 months when I was in high school with my sister. And it's very busy for everyone in the summer being a herder. As a girl, we milked sheep, cow, mares, and worked on the processing dairies every day. And there's washing, cleaning, sewing, helping other chores. And as a kid, it felt like we have this endless things that we have to do every day. But of course, I love those memories, and of course, we were kids and we always found a way to make time for playing and have fun. And going back to the horses, our grandparents, they had plenty of horses, but it was not common that girls rode horse. First, we had plenty of things to do, and there's no time to ride horse as a leisure activity or something like that. And secondly, most of the time, boys or men ride horse and go after the herd. I only got on the horseback 1 or 2 times back then when I was a child, just to try, but not actually rode them. So the underlying point is that riding horse is not my skill as a Mongolian, though I love horse and horse riding. I only rode horse few years ago, just when I traveled to other parts of Mongolia. And there are many Mongolians who are not familiar with nomadic life out here, nor never got on the horseback. So be mindful about assuming our horse riding skill. I think this is because all the media representation is very homogeneous. They only shows color-edited images and videos of horse riding people roaming wild on the steppe. And that's what you have in mind when you think of Mongolia, right? So that's why I started this podcast, to be honest about being a Mongolian. And next part of questions are collected from other people's experience as we talk with other Mongolians living abroad, and these are the most common questions that they get asked. And I may have looked it up also on the Quora too. Okay, first question is, do you live in yurt? Yurt meaning our traditional round house, which is called ger. And the answer is no. but many people do today. They live in gyr, but also there is a big part of Mongolians that are living in apartment. More than half of the population live in Ulaanbaatar city, which is the capital city, but 70% of Ulaanbaatar city households live in gyr districts. So gyr districts it's called gyr Horatlal, and it's a yurt districts that are big part of the city. However, a lot of families have their own house built along with the gyr. So I would say majority of them live in their houses rather than the gyr itself in urban areas. So we are kind of living in urban area without the gyrs. Okay, the second question is, do you have a shower or do you have a TV? Yes, people do ask these questions. And of course, the answer is we have these appliances. I think I don't have to explain in detail that we have modern appliances and gadgets, etc. But about a shower, no, if you are living in a gyr. People living in gyr manage to take shower by carrying the water, as they do always, all the time, and warm it up on the stove. And they use portable bathtub, or they do sectional washing to give you the idea how they take a shower. And contemporary Mongolian herder families who are living in the countryside in gyr, traditionally herding animals for a living. So today they look like this. They have a satellite TV, cell phones, at least one motorcycle and a mini truck, solar panel, and some have freezers. So I think this is kind of normal, and this is same for every family in the countryside. This is very normal standard. And even in Tega, where reindeer herders live, which is quite remote area, and they still live like this. This is the scene that I have witnessed myself. And the last question is, do you only eat meat? So one of my professor is a vegan, and he was like, why don't you stop eating meat? It's 21st century, like that. So we like our meat, yes. It's a great source of energy, especially in the cold, harsh winter days. Our meat eating practice is a footprint of nomadic way of living in the nature, herding animals. And it's our culture to eat meat. Actually, it's quite seasonal though. And I just only wish that people not to have that image of Mongolians as meat eating warriors. It's true that we eat meat, but because it's the way we survived, because of the environmental, geographic, and climate condition. But these days, I think, maybe most of the family eat meat daily, but in the summer we try to use more dairy products and reduce the meat consuming. So I just read that when Mongolians live in other countries, they have iron deficiency, and someone wrote, it was on Twitter, and someone wrote that it gives away our ancestors' diet. So it means that most of nutrients and nutrients, microbes, came from eating grass-fed meat. Though I believe that our diet also caused early death among Mongolians, because life expectancy of Mongolians is somewhere around 60 to 65, which is quite early. So the main type of meat that we eat is sheep, mutton. So mutton is quite fatty. That's why the fat causes maybe a health problem, I guess. And I'm also thinking about inviting a guest who is vegan and living in Mongolia and talk about their experience and struggle and tips and tricks and practices. So let me know if you would be interested in that kind of interview with an expat. And that's it for the questions that I get asked as a Mongolian. So the lesson is please don't generalize and don't imagine the whole world based on Western-made movies or media contents. So please look it up for yourself and to do a research or listen to this kind of podcast. Music time. Have you ever heard about Mongolian traditional long song? So the long song is our intangible cultural heritage. And the grand master of long song was singer Norovbanzad. She is a legend of legends. And if you listen to Mongolian long song, which we call ortindo, you'll feel the freedom and spaciousness of Mongolian landscape. And that's exactly how I feel when I listen to ortindo. And I actually believe that only people who were born and raised in such land can sing long song. And the song is one and only Oikhanzamp Tivinarang, which is like beautifully and eloquently named in Mongolian. And the translation is, it means the sun over placid world. Mongolian first astronaut Gurrakhcha, who went up to space and orbited the Earth in 1981, admired the singing of Norovbanzad and said that this song exactly conveys the same feeling of watching the Earth from outer space, and he gasped how could she was able to express such feeling even though she never had that view like him from the space. So if you listen to this track like really focusing on it and listen to it completely, for me it's like a meditation or like taking a deep relieving breath. So time is up. I would like to ask you to review the podcast and let me know if there's anything that I need to work on and improve about the podcast. Please let me know. And also please send your questions and send me emails if you have anything you would like to know about Mongolia. I will try my best to help you. So see you next time. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you'd like to keep up with Mongolia, make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere else. Хамт байсанд маш их баярлалаа. Баяртай.